turn like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down.
Alright, here we are, folks.
Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We're gonna light it up.
Welcome back once again. This is Chris Report, and he assured me that since Simon's down in Boulders, folks, this is Chris Wyatt reporting from South Africa. Tuesday, February 27th, 2024. Welcome back to the program, folks. Good to see you once again here on Chris Wyatt Reports for your daily injection. Speaking of injections, I got one of those yesterday. Got myself that second shingles jab, the original version of that jab. Apparently had very low efficacy. The one that they hoodwinked me into taking, about 10 years ago, turns out doesn't do much to prevent shingles. But now they have a newer one, and they claim that after years of research, it's good. It does the trick. So I had the first jab in December, and of course, when I was at the clinic, it was full of people, some of whom clearly had a pestilence, which gave me that nasty phlegm-inducing cough that I've had since December. And yeah, that was my experience in December. Got the first jab. That jab, I didn't feel ill, didn't feel, a little queasy, didn't feel muscular ache, didn't feel any flu symptoms whatsoever from the first jab. But I got the second jab yesterday. Ooh, that one hurt. That one hurt. And I got to tell you, I feel like crap. I feel like crap right now. So it's taken all my energy to keep going forward here as whatever's going through my body. My white blood cells are obviously marshaling a defense up right now to defeat whatever it is, so that my body learns how to prevent the shingles virus from activating when it comes out of my bone marrow or wherever the heck it's hiding at sometime in the future. Anyway, so there you have it, folks. Yeah, I got the jab yesterday. Not the jab you're thinking about, not the spicy cough jab. No. I got the shingles jab, and I'm sore, and I don't feel so great. So it's taken a lot. It took a little bit of ibuprofen. That's helping a little bit, but frankly, all things being equal, I'd rather be in bed at this hour. So good to see you all again. So you see my sense of dedication to make sure that I'm on the program for my viewers again today. Let me say hello to everybody that's in chat, and then we're going to talk about today and events and just, life in general. So D. Baram is here. Welcome, George. Teresa. Hendo. Oh, Hendo, our moderator, is on time for once. Hendo's been very busy lately, amassing a fortune. He and Elon Musk are working on a program to send Julius Malema to Saturn. And it's a secret program that, I guess it's not secret anymore. I've let you know about it. But Hendo has been busy in the south of England developing a launch site to send Julius Malema to Saturn. So I don't know if he's going to go to Enceladus and burrow under the ice cap. I don't know what's going on, but of course that's one of the moons of Saturn, Enceladus. But Hendo has been secretly working with Elon Musk. If that bothers anybody and you don't want to watch the program going forward, I understand that. I appreciate that. But I just thought I'd let you know that Hendo is on a secret program with Elon Musk. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. Ken Aronson's here. Trevor Bush. Keith Alderson's in. Hey, Keith, how's it going? How is Coventry? Yep. And where's Flesham, man? We need to talk about the 15-minute city. Last night I went to a meeting of the John Birch Society, and they were talking about Agenda 2030. Interesting conversation there. Garrett Gillich is here. Welcome, Garrett, from Somerset West. Ulrich Fenter, Pierre Orban, Brian Lawrenson's here. Vilma Erasmus, Pip Jacobs. And then ZCM says, good day. Greetings from windy Ruiz. Sorry, I keep reading that wrong. I need to work on my vision. Dylan Comper's back. Dylan, okay, begin to worry about you there, brother. You're like clockwork. You're always here. We can set the time of the program with your presence, but lately you've been busy bee. Eric is here. Eric, I hope you're recovering well. And Nick Muller. I think I've caught everybody in the chat. It's good to see you all once again. Thanks for being here. And to all of those, because there's only about a dozen people I just mentioned there, there's another 28 of you in watching the program at this moment. Thank you for being here. I do appreciate that. By the way, I don't usually call out people who post things, but I'm going to do it again. Listen, LCM, stop spreading lies. You went on my video that I did about Jacob Zuma's comments, and you said that, that's even Jacob Zuma's comments that you said that on. Let me go back and see that very quickly. Videos. Yeah, it was Jacob Zuma about Roman Dutch law or Dutch Roman law, whatever you want to phrase it. And you said that that Zuma was saying actually this in Zulu. Well, dude, if he's actually saying that in Zulu, then why didn't he just say that in Zulu instead of saying what he said? Are you saying that the mainstream media have misquoted him and misinterpreted him? If so, then just state that. And then don't make this false claim that I said that Zulu traditional law allows for girls to be pregnant. I never said that. That's ludicrous. That's just plain. Brian Cox. Wow, the famous actor Brian Cox is here, folks. The guy plays in The Long Kiss Goodnight and many other movies. Hey, Brian, how's it going? Minaj Kwal, what's your take on Macron's recent loose lips about talking about sending troops to Ukraine? I think that Macron is dangerous to global security. I think that Rishi Sunak is dangerous to UK security. I think that Joe Biden is dangerous to planetary security. And I think that all these lunatics need to be curtailed at the ballot box and removed from office, along with a number of justices who need to be impeached, like in Pennsylvania, a few on the Supreme Court who cannot interpret the law, but rather add their feelings to it. Johannes Fundamental says, trust you feel better soon. Sure you take antacid with ibuprofen, as you know, always after meals. Blessings. No, I never usually take antacid. That's not an issue. I don't have acid reflux. Just, when you don't feel well, you feel like a flu coming up, that's kind of what it is. It should be fine. It should go away pretty quickly. There are side effects of the shingles jab. I didn't get them the first time. I did get sick a week later, but that wasn't because of the shingles jab. It was because somebody brought the latest Chinese bioweapon into our clinic and spread it around, which has made its way all over the world now. I've talked to people around the world who have this stupid cough. It's everywhere. Here to pollute the chat with too many questions. There's no such thing as too many questions. Wild Bear Prepper, welcome back to you. Yeah, so what's my take on Macron? Macron is a New World Order stooge. Yep. New World, just like every French leader except perhaps Sarkozy in the past 50 years. They've all been New World Order stooges or anti-American bigots like Charles de Gaulle. Now, the leaders who lead France are atrocious. They really need someone like Le Pen. Ooh, that's going to set some tongue wagging. Le Pen. Yeah, I'm not talking about her father. I'm talking about Marine Le Pen. Le Pen. Anyway, but they don't want to hear that. So anyway, back to... John Taplin says, having a sundowner in Durbs. Oh, cool. That's good to hear, John. I was just thinking about what's happening. If I'm successful in my primary run for the U.S., for the Pennsylvania legislature, if I'm fortunate and to win this race, and, somebody said, when you win, I guess that's a positive attitude, when you win. If I win this race, which is right up there, that one there, if I win this race on April 23rd, then I continue on to the November elections. That will impact my trip to South Africa, but I still intend to come to South Africa to cover the elections. If I don't win, then I'll probably spend a month in South Africa. If I win, it'll probably be 10 days to 2 weeks, so just so you know that. If it's only 10 days to 2 weeks, then the trip will most likely be Gauteng, Cape Town, with a jaunt to Port Elizabeth, and that's it. If it's a month, once again, I'll get around the country like I usually do. But anyway, by the way, we have our election coverage, which started last year in February with the launch of the United Independent Movements campaign at Tygerberg. Continues. And this week we have the referendum party with Phil Craig, the guy who had the Cape Independence Advocacy Group, now has a political party called the Referendum Party, which attempted to join the multi-party charter, and they rejected their membership. Not really a big surprise because they're calling for secession, and you kind of lose credibility as a coalition when you line up with parties that are trying to break the country apart. So, really can't blame either side in this. But anyway, we'll have Phil Craig on the program Thursday. Tomorrow in the evening at 8 p.m., it will be South Africa time, so 1 p.m. here. We're going to have Kenako with Koketso Ratsane and Dumodenga, at least, plus myself. We're going to talk about all these happenings in South Africa. So there's a couple programming announcements. And this weekend, we're back to United Rugby Championship action on Rugby Ascendance. We'll be covering that as well. Anyway, so there you have it. CyberEggs is back. Dry cough for 3 months, finally stopped months ago. Never had a cough like that before. Well, Cyber, we have the same affliction. It's a dry cough, but then the mucus, my membranes are overreacting. So been taking Mucinex, but starting to get a little bit low on that, down to the last quarter of the medication now here. So we'll see if it works. Joking Atheist is here. Good to see you there. Let's hope everyone's well. Alter Bridge is in. Visit Antarctica. Well, I've never been to Antarctica, and I've always wanted to go. But I'm going to wait until more of the glaciers calve off into the Arctic Sea before I go. It's not really safe to go there right now, according to the climate zealots. We're going to talk about climate zealotry today, folks. We're going to talk about elections in Michigan. We're going to talk about the rogues gallery of South African politicians. All that's coming your way in just a moment right here on the program. But you know what? With 66 people here, I would be remiss if I didn't remind you guys. Where's it at? Come on. Hang on a second here. I know it's here. I'm trying to find something here. Come on. I want it. Maybe it's in here. No, it's not there. I'll be darned. Wow. That's just crazy, crazy. I thought it was in here. I was going to show you something here. It must have disappeared. It was in here at one time. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I wanted to show you something. So let me, God bless it. Wow. Okay. I hope I can find this. It may be here. I do not see it. That's not good. That's not good. Well, that's just crazy. Maybe it's here. Nope, not there either. That is strange. All right, well, I can't do that right now. All right, I was going to give you an advert. I don't know where the heck is that's at. I'll have to figure that out later on. But anyway, shame. It's normally here. Where did it go? Anyway, sorry about that distraction there, folks. We're back again. Christopher Darberton says, sorry I'm late, worked overtime. Well, that's good you worked overtime, I suppose. That's hopefully more money in your tasha, in your pocket there. Oh, my goodness. Demi Dudley had a heart attack on Saturday from the ACDP. Is that what we're talking about, Erica? Is he in hospital? Wow. Sorry for the email spam. Just thought you would enjoy the song. Joking Atheist, I haven't seen that email yet. Sorry, I've been busy. I keep getting hit on the spot yesterday. So my candidacy, I'll tell you a little campaign story here real quick. You guys want to hear a campaign story? Stay calm and praat Afrikaans. There you go, Tracy. There you go. So praat Afrikaans. There you go. Stay calm and praat Afrikaans. Do you guys want to hear a little campaign story real quick? Okay. I'll do that before we get to the news if you're up for it. It's pretty close to Australia, though. Oh, Antarctica, yeah. Your grandmother was there when she was younger. That's pretty cool. I've flown over the Arctic, but I've never been to Antarctica. And I've never been in the Arctic Circle, but I've been close. I've been in the Faroe Islands, and I've been in Iceland, both of which I believe are below the Arctic Circle. So I've not quite been there. After everything going on in South Africa, you can't blame people for wanting a country of their own instead of, yeah. No, Wild Bear Prepper, that's a fair point. You know, well, these people are just racist. They want to be on their own. Really? Maybe they just don't want to be raped and murdered and, and be passed over for education and business opportunity because they lack melanin in their skin. That might be part of it, or because they're Muslim, or because they're Jews, or because they're not part of the favored class. It's understandable. I mean, look, we see a lot of black nationalists who don't even call South Africa South Africa. They call it Azania or Mzansi. That's the name they use for it. And their argument is that it never was for them. Well, it's been for them for a long time now. And what do we have to show for it? The ANC. He's recovering at home. Okay, well, I'll send him my my best wishes. Thank you for sharing that. Wow. Crazy stuff. So nobody wants to hear the election stuff. Okay, I won't tell the election story then. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Zandile Gumeda, the former mayor of eThekwini, also known as Durban, or Dirtbin, affectionately by those who actually have passed through that city recently. Dirtbin mayor, former mayor Zandile Gumeda, is finally in court on trial for the 168 corruption charges that she has faced for several years. And finally, we have her in the docket. I was made to deviate from day-to-day duty, says a junior eThekwini official. And there she is, the ever slim, fit, Olympic-class runner, Zandile Gumeda, in her finest regalia there. Obviously, the person behind her is, well, that's a really fit person, but she's just so fit. Zandile Gumeda's co-accused used a junior official to facilitate tender fraud. Gumeda and 21 others face corruption charges for 320 million rand waste collection tender issued when she was mayor. The trial against the accused expected to run until March 28th. It will pause and come back in May. Why? The court has barred the media from sharing the witness's name because we're tired of seeing people like Babita Deokaran murdered when reporting malfeasance. The witness said, my supervisor, whose name is known to News 24 but not to us, said the letters were urgently needed by the deputy supply chain manager, Zandile Gumeda. Gumeda still works as a senior official, is among Gumeda's co-accused. Yeah, so finally in court, but nothing will come of this, even when she's convicted of corruption. If she, in fact she is convicted of corruption, what will come of it? Zandile Gumeda will still be probably in the National Executive Committee of the ANC. And, you know, remember when she was already removed as mayor, the ANC tried to surreptitiously make her a member of the provincial legislature, which they did. And people like myself, independent journalists, called them out, while the mainstream media sat on their ass and said very little about it. And then finally, the uproar from citizens made the mainstream media report it. After went the mainstream media, the ANC suspended her with pay in the provincial legislature. Yeah, Zandile Gumeda. Yep. Anyway, Hendo's saying hi to everybody. Well, there's plans to grab your retirement savings. We were talking about this yesterday. South Africans like, you know, is the ANC going to steal our retirement savings? Well, in a way, yes. So if the government has its way, pension funds will be forced to buy into corrupt government schemes to build infrastructure, which of course will return no profit and will increase your retirement holdings not at all, and probably won't even be paid back. So you'll lose your retirement savings. That's what's going on here. Prescribed assets is the order of the day, and we're talking about the ANC and its corruption. So it's just another day in South Africa, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, I'm at 5 kilowatt hours already, 11:20 this morning. That's pretty good. Pretty good. All right, so the ANC manifesto is once again pushing for prescribed assets in South Africa, revealing the party's plans to introduce legislation to compel pension fund managers to invest in corrupt ANC infrastructure development and the economy. Yep. Prescribed assets, a sovereign wealth fund with state involvement in monetary policy, have been written into several ANC manifestos but remain unimplemented. Let's hope they continue to remain unimplemented, because this is nothing but theft of individual retirement accounts. Shame on these criminals. But that's what communists do, folks. Communists. You know, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. But, you know, the world allows it to happen. It's time to stop it. Cyril Ramaphosa has nominated Deputy Chief Justice Mandisa Maya for the Chief Justice post. Of course, we know that the Judicial Services Commission, a racist body, excluded the top qualified candidate for a judicial post just months ago because they're nothing but racist. The only thing working against the man, he has insufficient skin pigmentation, but he was the most qualified candidate. But of course, you can't have a white man be a chief justice or be a justice in this corrupt system in South Africa, because somebody might actually get convicted of a crime. President Ramaphosa nominated Deputy Chief Justice Mandisa Maya as the Chief Justice on Tuesday. Yes, she was the top choice. Previously held the position of Deputy President of the Supreme Court. The Chief Justice position will become vacant August 31st when Raymond Zondo's term comes to an end. Zondo was appointed to a 12-year term in 2012. 12 years, wow. Krokotopia is enjoying Cape Town before going off to Islamistan. Is that what you said? Oh, your Republic of London. Gotcha. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Julius Malema, how does he get out from under this one? I'm going to read some of the quotes to you that Julius Malema did. Remember the Brockenfell situation back in 2020, which I covered live? EFF got moored and they were chased away by the police with water cannons. And then, of course, the recourse was to go attack a car dealership and destroy hundreds of thousands of rand worth of new cars. Yeah, and no criminal charges for that. And this is all over a bogus cry from the EFF complaining that there were no black teachers at this school. Well, the fact that there's virtually no black students in an area that's inhabited almost entirely by whites and coloreds might have something to do with that. But you know what? They don't complain about no white teachers in KZN at Zulu schools or in the Eastern Cape at Xhosa schools. No, there's no complaint about that. It's the EFF rabble-rousing domestic terror action here. They went to Brockenfell. Well, you know, Juju made some comments about this. So they're being sued. Malema's being sued for $1 million for hate speech. I think he should be sued for $100 million, to be honest. EFF leader Juju Malema and the party are in court again for hate speech, this time regarding remarks directed at a man who was arrested during the Battle of Brockenfell. It wasn't a battle. The EFF got moored, and they should have been arrested for the damage they did. Dante van Wyk brought a civil case against Malema and the party and is claiming $1 million following remarks by Malema that says he poses a threat to Malema's life. Malema, of course, wasn't in court for the beginning of the hearings. At issue is Malema's statement on October 16, 2022, 2 years after Brockenfell, at the party's provincial rally, which includes the words, "You must never be afraid to kill. A revolution requires killing at some point because killing is part of the Revolutionary Act." And then back in November 20th, 2020, a group of people identifying as parents arrived outside Brockenfell, but they weren't parents. Oh, that's people who were parents to stop EFF from going inside. Yep. At a provincial rally in October 2022, Malema touched on the incident, and some of his remarks and messages on social media makes Van Wyk feel scared and threatened. So these are the messages that Julius Malema sent on social media. His name is Dante Van Wyk. We are busy tracing his address. He will be captured soon. Dead or alive. We will come back with him, and all your white racist rednecks, you're going to know your maker. Wow. And Julius Malema still walks the streets. He's still a member of parliament. Calls for the murder of white South Africans. Wow. Wow. And it's the speech that he gave. You went to a school here to protest the other time and you were beaten by white people. There was a white man who was visible on camera. If I were to ask you, what have you done in terms to follow up after being beaten by that white guy? Why have you not, as a revolutionary organization, followed up on that guy, him alone, to take that guy in an isolated space and attend to the guy properly? Well, that is a threat. That's a death threat. Why he walks the streets is beyond comprehension. The fact that the media has never covered this story until now. I've never heard the story about Van Wyk's life being threatened by Julius Malema. And the man who physically assaults white senior police officers at Winnie Mandela's funeral, the man who dangerously fires loaded firearms into the air at public rallies, endangering public safety, the man whose party is deeply embroiled in the Venda Bank scandal. Yeah, okay. The man who stands on the podium and screams, kill the board, drive them out, burn them down, burn them down. Yeah, that's what he said. I heard it. He switched English. I heard all that. Yep, at Senegal in 2020. Yep. Now, the South African Human Rights Commission ordered Malema to apologize. What? So the South African Captured Human Rights Commission is a co-applicant in this. These words and their meaning make it clear, apart from other white people, I should be killed. Wow. Malema's lawyers will cross-examine a linguist when she wraps her evidence in chief. What? Malema claims he's just using political speech. Now, curious enough, Dante Van Wyk was arrested for discharging a firearm in public, but Julius Malema hasn't been arrested for discharging a firearm in public. Oh, he's going to have a struggle, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, political parties have banded together to question the Independent Electoral Commission in South Africa about the timetable. Political parties have written to the Electoral Commission of South Africa CEO Sai Mamabolo requesting an urgent meeting to discuss their disgruntlement with the elections timetable, which they say is unjust. The African Congress for Transformation, the African Transformation Movement, the African People's Convention, the Azania People's Organization, Build One South Africa, Land Party, Mkhonto weSizwe, Rise Mzansi, United African Transformation, and the UDM, the United Democratic Front, under Bantu Holomisa, are seeking to address issues they believe may affect the integrity and inclusivity of elections. The key issues we want to discuss are the election timetable, challenges around the signature requirements, and identification. Deadline for candidate lists is set for March 8th. Deadline for registration fees and voter education. There you go. So opposition parties, minor opposition parties with no significant strength, are up in arms about the deadline. Of course, all of them have known that there's a 90-day window, and they knew that the elections had to be done by a certain date in 2024. So I don't know what they're upset about. I don't agree with the timetable. I think it's ridiculous, but that's a whole other story. But the point here is that there are no surprises here, none whatsoever. They all should be well aware of this. I mean, it's not a shocker. So what's the issue here? What is the issue? Paul Mashatile. Yeah, you're going to love this one, folks. This one's entertaining. Paul Mashatile says fighting crime and corruption is the top priority for government. What you talking about, Willis? Paul Mashatile. This, of course, is the man who News 24 has been running a series of articles about corruption that he purportedly has committed, and it's not minor corruption. It's pervasive, widespread, long-term corruption they claim that Paul Mashatile is involved in. Is the number 2 in the government, the Deputy President Paul Mashatile. He's saying that fighting crime and corruption are the top priority of the government. That's simply a lie. If they were, we wouldn't have the outcomes that we have. We wouldn't have 82 South Africans murdered. Think, ladies and gentlemen, think about that. How much hate, how much disregard for the rule of law, how little regard for humanity do you have to have 82 murders in a country with just 60 million people every single day? Think about it. It's pretty frightening, isn't it? Well, Paul Mashatile lies to the public once again. Deputy President Mashatile said government was doing everything to fight crime and corruption. Really? The police are underfunded. The judicial system's underfunded. Your DNA backlog lasted several years. You've done nothing. You've done nothing. Minister of Justice, Constitutional Development, Ronnie Lamola said a victim-centered approach in the criminal justice system is imperative and said victims should be respected, supported, and empowered. No. No, that's true, but no. Deterrence. You deter criminals from committing crimes. You don't allow them to commit crimes and then focus on victims. You prevent victims from happening. That is how you get control of this situation. These morons, complete, total dingbat doorknobs, have no concept of reality. The ANC says we must support victims. How about you prevent people from becoming victims? That's a much better approach to policing. Wow. Well, speaking of ANC's ban to education, which I wasn't, but let's bring it up. ANC's ban to education and the underfunding of education. Yes, I know that's the biggest budget item. Only debt comes second behind that. They spend a lot of money on education, but a lot of that's stolen by BE companies that just put money in their pocket, not deliver textbooks to Eastern Cape. Those who don't build abolition units, and that for small primary school learners suffocate on feces by falling in a pit latrine. Yeah, no, but now we see that schools are just falling apart right on top of students' heads. Pupils injured at the Tembisa school after classroom ceiling collapses on them. The incident today affected 18 pupils at the Umtambeka primary school, a primary school. Most are recovering at home while 2 are still in a health facility. We've launched an investigation into the circumstances surrounding this incident. Further information will be acquired from the school management team, school governing body, and district accordingly. Well, I can tell you why it's like this. It's the ANC. Just get rid of the ANC. Invest in schools properly and stop stealing money for your cadres, and life will change. Well, remember Jeffrey Donson, the convicted child molester rapist from Kanaland, who was relieved as mayor and then back in as mayor and then relieved and he's back in as mayor, despite the fact that he sexually molested and raped an underage girl and was convicted in court. This child rapist is still the mayor of Kanaland. Well, that's a tradition that's becoming quite profound in South Africa. Speaking of rapists and sexual assaulters, here's another one. Sexual predator who abused his position, ex-Oudtshoorn mayor, jailed for sexual assault. Former Oudtshoorn mayor Mlandeli Abdeniko Nyuka has been sentenced to 5 years for sexual assault. The court found he abused his position when he sexually assaulted an employee in his office. He tried to manipulate her, claiming he would ensure she got a promotion. Oudtshoorn's magistrate court has sentenced the former mayor of Klein Karoo to 5 years in jail. It was his second conviction and sentence for sexual assault using the same modus operandi. Wow. So this man is already a sexual assaulter on a previous occasion and was convicted for that, yet was the mayor of Oudtshoorn. So apparently in South Africa, when you're a criminal, particularly those who abuse the vulnerable, you just get elected mayor. South Africa's crazy year for solar. 2023 was the year for solar photovoltaic as South Africans surged to buy panels at great personal expense, at great corporate expense, driving up the cost of goods and services across South Africa because Eskom has failed. But the amount of solar photovoltaic that was installed, which will lead to the duck curve, like California has, is astounding, folks. Let's take a look at this information coming from Business Tech. New data compiled by Trade and Industrial Policy Strategy senior economist Gaylor Montmasson-Clare shows that South Africa households tripled their spend on solar imports in 2023, with around 5,000 megawatts worth of solar panels brought into the country. Now, my question is, why are you importing 5,000 megawatts of solar panels? You have silicon, you have factories, you have the technology. Why aren't South African firms making solar panels? We know why. Because the ANC prefers to send the money to their masters, their paymasters in Beijing. Yep. The bulk of the imports, of course, came from China. Look at this graph, folks. It shows just how big a spike it was last year. South Africa's imports of solar cells, modules, and panels. In 2022, it was a total of 345 million US or 5.6 billion rand. In 2023, South Africans imported $947 million, nearly $1 billion worth of solar panels, 17.5 billion. Wow. Wow. Now, South Africa, of course, is benefiting from all the people leaving the grid. According to analysts, solar expansion has led to a drop in utility demand of around 2.2 gigawatts and is likely a permanent loss of demand of around 1.5. Yep. Yep, that's right. And that's because solar is what people are doing because Eskom is unreliable. Can't rely on it. Another horrific story, a doctor murdered in his surgery, a beloved doctor murdered in South Africa. Family devastated for gunman kill much-loved Gauteng doctor. Dr. Michael Isabel was shot and killed in his Dobsonville surgery, allegedly by 3 people pretending to be looking for help. Family spokesperson Unati Mabandlia said the family is devastated by his sudden death. No one's been arrested, and they're on the lookout for suspects. He'd been practicing in the Gauteng suburb for 25 years. His death was tragic, unnecessary loss to the family. It was shocking. We received a call from the police Saturday afternoon saying he was shot. Incident occurred about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. All that they stole were 2 cell phones. They took this doctor's life, this man who was born, who was nurtured, who was raised, who was fed, whose nappies were changed, who was taught right from wrong, who probably was a person of faith and attended a church or a mosque of some sort, and who went to school, got an education, applied himself, went to medical school, became a practicing doctor, and spent 25 years healing people, murdered for 2 cell phones. For 2 cell phones. Well, the Bella Bill, which Jax has talked about a number of times when she came on here, but the Basic Education Laws Amendment Bill is in the spotlight as 2 political parties have opposed it. The Democratic Alliance and the Freedom Front Plus are saying that it is illegitimate, and I agree with them. It makes significant amendments to the South African Schools Act of 1996 and the Educators Employment Act of 1998. They'll make grade R compulsory. I guess that's kindergarten, grade R. They'll criminalize parent and parental negligence in school attendance, so they'll put parents in prison for a year if their kids don't go to school. Really? So a single mother who's doing domestic work, whose child plays hooky, is going to go to jail for a year? Yeah, that's a stupid idea. Home education regulation, they're trying to get control of homeschooling. That's why it's a bad idea. Language policy, the sale of alcohol on school will be permitted. They permit the possession, consumption, and sale of alcohol at private religious events and school premises. No. No. There should never be alcohol. Never, ever, 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 ever. Regardless of what's happening, should never be alcohol allowed at a school grounds. What kind of moron comes up with this nonsense? Because it'll be fudged, it'll be adjusted, it'll be lied about. Well, we're just having a church event here. No, you're drinking alcohol and it's illegal. Unbelievable. Oh, they're going to ban corporal punishment as if I don't have enough disciplinary problems in schools. Accommodating religion in codes of conduct, which will allow for certain exemptions. So criticism is mounting from the Democratic Alliance and from the Freedom Front Plus. They intend to challenge the bill if it gets passed. It also requires about $12 billion in infrastructure and $4 billion for staffing to implement this idiotic bill. Once again, another grift for the ANC's corporate elites. Well, the largest solar photovoltaic project in South Africa is underway, folks. Woo, it's a big one. Yep. Red Cap Energy is set to roll out 3 wind farms with a combined capacity. Oh, I said solar photovoltaic. I meant alternative energy. Of 330 megawatts. That'll make it the largest purely private renewable energy facility in South Africa. Yeah, 330 megawatts. Of course, this is all possible because the government finally lets private sector do something. Each of 3 farms will have 110 megawatts of power. They're using Siemens turbines, and they're going to pollute the landscape with these wind turbines. Yep. At a length of 116 kilometers, the project also boasts the longest privately permitted power line developed for any renewable energy project in the country. My goodness. That's just crazy. That's just crazy. So, a big wind project coming to South Africa. Good luck with that. All right, so a gentleman goes on to social media and he complains about Fly Sapphire. Is Arctic here? Arctic, are you here? This gentleman complains about Fly Sapphire because he is obese. So for those who accuse me of being a fat shamer, go ahead, bring it on. So he complains that he and 2 other overly large people are seated in the same row and it's unfair. From the icy cold aircon to a little leg room, there's nothing worse than being uncomfortable on a flight. I agree. TikToker Me Carlome had made an issue of the size of his seat more than anything else. He posted a video caption, "This was problematic, I tell you, placing 3 chubby persons in the same seat, of himself struggling to get into his seat along with passengers seated next to him. He described himself and the 2 ladies with him as Dick. He compares the seating on the flight to seating on a taxi because he and his fellow passengers are so tightly squeezed together." And here he is. Yep. The fly SAF Air is a quantum. Continues by saying they will not be using the airline again. Seriously, guys, fly SAF Air is not the best for me. Maybe it's thin there in front and chubby at the back. He then asked one of the flight attendants for an extended seatbelt.
Quantum, het is een taxi. Ik zit hier met mijn taxis. Kijk, kan je even stoel zitten? Kijk, ons is zo lekker dik en rond. I'm not flying flights of fair again. No, serious guys, flights of fair has done the best for me. Go.
No thanks, buddy. No thanks. So I've flown SAF Air about a dozen times since August of 2022, and I can tell you the experience has been wonderful. I'm not Dick, and I fit in the seats perfectly fine. So I don't know what his problem is. Fly SAF Air, for their part, says that their airlines have the exact same legroom that others have. He's just hating on Fly SAF Air because he's morbidly obese. That's his fault, not Fly SAF Air's. The IOL contacted Fly SAF Air to find out if their seats, in fact, are narrower than those in other domestic carriers. No. We operate the standard pitch for an economy configuration on Boeing 737-800, commented the Chief Marketing Officer Kirby Gordon. In fact, ours is a little more spacious than other options because we invest in the slim-framed aluminum seats. That's a fact. The frames are made from thinner but very strong aluminum, so the seat itself actually has a smaller profile, allowing for more space for the person sitting in it. Exactly right. Exactly right. Fly SAF Air does a fantastic job, and this sort of nonsense is unwarranted. That's right. If you can't fit in one seat, pay for two. I paid for two seats. I fit in one seat, but I paid for two. That's basically what they call business class in the first couple of rows on most of my flights, particularly from Joburg to Cape Town and back and forth. Yep. Anyway, so actually, as people who are... Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. We're not going to get into that. Anyway, looks like the sun is hidden by some clouds because it's not really generating much more electricity right now. In neighboring Botswana, the CD project continues, and the high-tension lines have been completed. Tlu Energy completes transmission line for the CD project. Energy firm Tlu Energy has completed the construction of a 66 kilovolt power transmission line connecting the Lesedi gas to power project in Botswana with both the national grid and the regional Southern African power pole. The Lesedi substation, crucial for integrating transmission line with Lesedi's power generation plants, is at 38% completion, but the power lines are now connected to the grid. So once Lesedi's natural gas-fired electricity generation plant gets online, the lines will already be in place, and they'll be able to share that electricity across Botswana, reducing the demand on neighboring South Africa. Mary Poppins being censored by Disney. That's right. Mary Poppins' age rating increased due to discriminatory language. Excuse me? This was filmed, what, 1960, 62, something like 64. Mary Poppins. In a surprising update, the beloved 1964 classic film Mary Poppins has had its age rating escalated from U for general audiences to PG due to the inclusion of discriminatory language. Well, my goodness, what is the discriminatory language? What did they say? Did they use the dreaded N-word that rappers use every day? No. Did they use the dreaded other N-word, Negro, which is, of course, in the United Negro College Fund? No. Did they use the dreaded word colored from the National Association for Colored People? No. Do you know what they used? They used an anachronistic term which most people have never even heard of and don't even know what it means, claiming it's derogatory and racist. Racist! The PG rating, which stands for parental guidance, indicates that some portions of the movie may not be suitable for younger children. Well, what are they? The British Board of Film Classification, this is a British creation, thank you UK. Hendo, you paying attention here? The British Board of Film Classification clarified their decision, stating that the film contained two occurrences in a 2-hour movie, two occurrences of the derogatory term Hottentots. Oh my goodness. They called the Khoi Hottentots. In reference to the Khoi people of South Africa. That expression is now acknowledged as racially offensive. I think the British Film Board is racially offensive. We understand from our racism and discrimination research and recent classification guidelines research that a key concern for people, parents in particular, is potential to expose children to discriminatory language or behavior that they may find distressing or repeat without realizing the potential offense. Some language or behaviors are therefore not permitted. Piss off, footsec. Oh my gosh. Stop it. The stupidity. Now, that's not, British Board is as bad as the BBC, that's correct. In Kenya, main opposition leader Raila Odinga, who's the leader of the opposition Azimio la Umoja Coalition and the Orange Democratic Movement Party, is looking to step aside, and he's trying to lobby to become the chairman of the African Union Commission based in Addis Ababa. But of course, before the ANC upset the apple cart and ruined the normal sequence of people taking the chairperson of the OAU and the African Union by putting Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma in Addis because nobody wanted her in South Africa, until they pushed their weight around and pissed off the rest of Africa by allowing a regional hegemon to have the chairmanship. Before then, regional hegemons never did it. It was minor countries like Gabon or Togo or somewhere like that, or Chad, that had the chairperson position. Well, Kenya is a regional hegemon in East Africa, and it looks like this guy wants to be the next AU chairperson, replacing the guy from West Africa. Well, the forgotten crisis, ladies and gentlemen. We go now live to Luthuli House. We're going to go live. Sorry, we have report a story. Okay, report a story. Pierre, report a story, is on the ground at Luthuli House. I have him. He's relaying what's going on now. That's correct, ladies and gentlemen. At Luthuli House at this hour, no ANC officials are filing any grievances with the International Court of Justice, nor are they approaching any United Nations organ to complain about the genocide taking place in Sudan. Black Africans are being butchered by the RSF and by government forces in the tens of thousands, with millions displaced. And the ANC is, here's the word from Luthuli House, silent on this genocide. Of course, the anti-Semitic Jew-hating ANC only takes exception to genocide when it's a fake genocide perpetuating anti-Semitic hatred against Jews. Of course, that's what we're talking about here. So, of course, the situation in Sudan ignored by the ANC, the situation in Mali, Niger, Central African Republic, Mozambique, Burkina Faso, all ignored by the ANC, who choose to only tilt at windmills. And by the way, if the ANC was legitimate in its human rights record and it cared about human rights, where was the ANC when the Gambia set the precedent by going to the International Court of Justice, filing a genocide claim against Myanmar in 2019? The ANC, too busy stealing, and lying about Israel. Today's newsletter, with tens of thousands dead, millions displaced, and no sign of the war abating, a deafening silence of global indifference threatens the country's future. No, the warring parties threaten the country's future, not global indifference. These people need to quit fighting. There's a certain kind of obscenity about the humanitarian world, which is the competition of suffering, said UN's aid chief Martin Griffiths. We must not forget Sudan. Well, tell that to the ANC. Tell that to the African Union. Tell that to the leftists around the world. They don't give a flying flip about black people, and you idiots that think they do are just fools. They just care about perpetuating their control of the planet. You think Klaus Schwab cares about black people, white people, brown people? No. He just cares about, diddling others and getting his money. Nigeria Customs investigating a deadly crowd rush during a sale of seized bags of rice. These bags of rice were seized and were put on sale. It's a chaotic situation caused by the impatience of people to follow the laid-down procedures and rules that were set up for the exercise. The spokesperson for the service, Abdullahi Maiwada, told CNN, "I can neither confirm nor deny any deaths, but we are investigating." Long queues had formed outside the Lagos Customs Office since the commencement of the sale. Thousands of locals struggle to grab a bag of rice, 25 kgs, selling at a price of just $6.80. That is a bargain. $6.80, that's less than half what rice was when I first moved to Liberia, which was $17 a bag for parboiled rice, and it shot up to $65 a bag because the Chinese sucking up all the excess in the marketplace. Hey, thanks to 102 people currently here. Be sure to hit the like button. We're 45 minutes into this broadcast.
That was easy.
And give us a like on the program. If you're not a subscriber, you can chat by becoming a subscriber, and thank you for that. Nigeria is hiking its interest rate to curb the economic chaos and deprivation that's taking place as unions protest hardship there. Nigeria's central bank hiked interest rates 4 percentage points today as trade unions protested over soaring food and fuel prices of increased hardship in Africa's biggest economy. So the Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Olayemi Cardoso said the rise in the bank's main lending rate to 22.75% from 18.75% was needed to slow or stop inflation. Wow, that sucks. When you borrow money at 22%, you're doubling it in just like 3 to 5 years, paying back double. Senegal's Macky Sall says the election will be held before the rainy season. He told a national dialogue Monday that elections will be held before the rainy season begins around July and reiterated his commitment to leave office before his mandate ends in April. But the election's 16 candidates refused to take part in the dialogue, insisting that an election date must be set as soon as possible in line with a court order earlier this month. Senegal, a reliably democratic country, is on the verge of chaos because of Macky Sall's undemocratic actions. Well, France reiterates support for Morocco's Western Sahara position, contrary to the Polisario. Interesting there. France's Foreign Minister Stéphanie Séjourne, during a trip to Morocco intended to warm strained relations, reiterated French support for Morocco's autonomy plan for the disputed Western Sahara. The former Spanish colony is largely controlled by Morocco, but claimed by the Algerian-supported Polisario Front terrorists who operate out of Algeria. In 2020, the Polisario Front declared a self-defense war and a seek the territory's independence. Well, that ain't going to happen. Donald Trump recognized Moroccan suzerainty over Western Sahara. While the world was looking elsewhere, North Korea became a bigger threat. I'm sorry, Wall Street Journal, that's simply not true. I have been reporting the entire 4 years I've been online doing these broadcasts that North Korea is the threat, talking about their firing of intercontinental ballistic missiles, their testing of space-based assets, launching satellites, they're firing over the demilitarized zone, their artillery attacks on islands in the China Sea, and so on, East China Sea. Much of us, those who are actually real analysts and intelligence professionals, have not ignored Korea. You clowns in the fake legacy media, like the Wall Street Journal, the captured Wall Street Journal, which used to be a reliably objective newspaper but isn't anymore, are telling people that we've ignored it. No, you've ignored it. While the world was looking elsewhere, North Korea became a bigger threat. Kim enlarged his nuclear arsenal, built ties to Russia, no longer aiming for reunification with South Korea. The U.S. and its allies are alarmed. Well, they should be. They should be. The 18,000 U.S. troops in South Korea are nothing but a speed bump, and they will be quickly wiped out when the North Koreans pour across the border as a consequence of Joe Biden's inept foreign policy. And we'll be on the verge of a nuclear conflict with a nuclear-armed North Korea. We can only hope that South Korean forces, which are professional, can hold the line until America can dig up what's left of its army and send it over to South Korea to stop this thing from going badly. Well, let's talk about the climate zealots, folks. Before I do, let me get back to the chat here very quickly and see who's in it, who I missed. Right. Good morning, Billy Painter. Okay. Looking forward to later this evening. What's later this evening, Billy? Billy, you got to fill me in. Is there something I missed? What's later this evening? Oh, you talk about Michigan? Or have I got a commitment that I'm unaware of? You need to let me know that, Billy. Send me something because I'm not sure what you're talking about. I've got another event I've got to go to. Christine Ehlers is here. Welcome, Christine. And then the pictures of those school desks are staged. Too clean and too good. Yeah, they were, Alter Bridge. Guess where his brains are. Who are we talking about? Too many South Africans in South Africa? Freddie Lightholm, South African ice pilot, found Shackleton's Endeavour. Okay. And VAT on those panels. Guess who wins again? Exactly. To manufacture panels here will amount to high wage demands, strikes, and corruption. That's true. Zandile will beat Usain Bolt in a sprint race. I don't think so, Wolf. Okay, wind farms are not photovoltaic. Yeah, no, I misspoke. I meant alternative energy. Don't carp from the sidelines. Patrick says, it's crazy. Many governments in the world loot money, but know how far to go to not put the country in trouble. ANC literally doesn't know when to stop. It's like heroin. You're correct. That's exactly right. That's right. And Dylan says, hey, lose some weight and you'll fit in the seats. True. Lose some effing weight, says Ken. Correct. Or when Teresa said, just pay for 2 seats and stop complaining. Yep. Buy 2 tickets. Yep. Yep. Gareth Cliff's pet hate vet. What? By the way, last night I watched Gareth Cliff. He had a really interesting guest on there, Miss Bath, who is with the media. And she gave very interesting analysis of what's going on in the media. I didn't agree with everything she had to say, of course, but it was interesting analysis. And it gave major props to my channel. Thank you for that, Gareth Cliff, who said really nice things about my channel last night when I jumped in to the chat. Thank you for that. Big BS Corporation. Marilyn's here. Layla's here. Welcome to you. Jan Fiona says, Sudan, 10 major wars in 65 years. It's Sudan. Yep. Thought the PG rating might have been due to the risk of traumatizing children related to the storyline where a family needed to flee their home due to ethnic cleansing. Klaus Schwab only cares for Klaus Schwab. Yep. Mary Poppins should be rated 18 based on Dick Van Dyke's butchering of the Cockney accent. Oh, John Jarvis. As a kid, I enjoyed Mary Poppins, says Vilma. I've never seen it. I've never seen Mary Poppins. I've seen excerpts of it, but I've never seen it. Yeah, the ANC also has an issue with Morocco over Western Sahara. That's correct. They support the terrorist Polisario Front. Yep. Ama Jubede. What is that? Will Japanese get involved in Korea? Probably, Fleshin. Yeah, probably. All right, so let's talk about the green energy zealots. Okay, this is a story that the headline looks very promising by Brett Christophers, who teaches in Sweden. Brett Christophers writes in The Guardian, so you know right off the bat it's probably leftist drivel. But here we go. We are taking a devastating risk with the green energy sector, one that might cost us our future. What do you think that means, folks? What do you think that means? You think that headline means that green energy is not the answer? I mean, that's what I thought when I saw the link. And then I went to The Guardian and I realized, no. That's not what they're talking about here. So relying on private companies to solve the climate crisis means that the planet's fate rests in the hands of asset managers. So Brett Christophers prefers that governments full of bureaucrats, many of whom aren't even elected by the people, like in South Africa. You don't elect the bureaucrats. You don't elect the politicians. The people you don't elect are the ones deciding how your life will be and taking your money away to create this green energy fantasy. Yep. Consider the global stock market with stock prices now at all-time highs. It will be easy to assume that global business is uniformly buoyant. But look beyond the headline figures and it becomes clear that while some industry sectors are flourishing, others are floundering. That's always the way it is. The cast of winners and losers throws up an irony that is significant and dreadful. One of the sectors where stock performance is worst happens to be the one the world arguably needs the best, according to Brett Christophers. That sector is clean renewable energy, or what is more widely termed green capitalism. There's no such thing as green or renewable energy. It's a fantasy. No form of energy is green. No such thing. There is no such thing as net zero carbon emissions. It's impossible. It doesn't work. These are lies perpetrated by leftists. Every source of energy pollutes. Every source of energy has a waste product and outcome. Yep. The main cause of the sluggish stock performance of these green capitalist stocks is low profitability. Yeah, because they're not profitable. Of course, he blames it on, oil companies getting subsidies from the government, but they never show you the subsidies these oil companies supposedly get. So here's another climate zealot story. Get ready for it, folks. Are you ready? The Doomsday Glacier is rapidly melting. Oh, cower, run for the hills. Scientists now have evidence for when it started and why. So, of course, it's Al Gore's global warming, right? That's why the Antarctic ice shelf is melting, because of global warming, right? Right? I mean, that's what we've been told for 25 years. Well, actually 30 years, going back to the Rio Fantasy Summit on climate change in 1992, Rio de Janeiro. Yeah, it's all about climate change. It's all about global warming. So that's why the ice shelf is melting, except it's not, according to genuine scientists. Laura Patterson. Wow, only one person wrote this article for CNN. I'm so impressed. Usually it takes an army of 15. So now there's an answer to the question. So scientists have looked back in time to reconstruct the past life of Antarctica's Doomsday Glacier, nicknamed because its collapse could cause catastrophic sea level rise. They've discovered it started retreating rapidly in the 1940s, according to a new study that provides an alarming insight into the future melting. The Thwaites Glacier in West Antarctica is the world's widest and roughly the size of Florida. Scientists knew it had been losing ice at an accelerating rate since the 1970s, but satellite data only goes back a few decades. They didn't know exactly when significant melting began. Now there's an answer to this question, according to a study published on Monday in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Are you ready for this? Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Let's get ready to rumble. This is the reason why the Thwaites Glacier is falling apart. Carbon dioxide emissions, greenhouse gases, fossil fuels. Do you think it's that? By analyzing marine sediment cores extracted from beneath the ocean floor, researchers found the glacier began to significantly retreat in the 1940s, likely kicked off by a very strong El Nino event, a natural climate fluctuation which tends to have a warming effect. El Nino, the child, the small little child, El Nino. Not climate change, not carbon emissions. But since then, the glacier's been unable to recover, and of course, it may reflect the increasing impact of human-caused global warming. John Dahl says, thanks for taking the interview with Phil Craig. I'm looking forward to it. John, I'm happy to do it. I've interviewed Phil 3 or 4 times. In fact, Phil and I did a live stream from the Tau Monument in Pearl. Yep. He met me up there and we did it because there was supposed to be a concert by Steve Hofmeyer last year there, and it went to Velbenock instead. So I met him at the monument. It was pretty cool. The United States cautions Hawaii neighbor Kiribati. Neighbor is a relative term. It's thousands of miles away. Kiribati gets Chinese police. So it's warning, folks. The Chi-Coms are putting police forces on other countries' soil, violating their sovereignty. The United States Monday cautioned Pacific Islands nations against assistance from Chinese security forces after Reuters reported that Chinese police are working in the remote atoll nation of Kiribati, a neighbor of Hawaii. Yeah, that's a relative term. Kiribati's acting police commissioner, Iri Atiere, told Reuters last week that uniformed Chinese officers were working with policing, community policing, and a crime database program. Kiribati, a country of 115,000 people, whose closest island is 1,340 miles south of Honolulu. And what did I just say? Thousands of miles away. Thousands of miles away. Yeah. We're concerned about potential implications, security agreements, and security-related cyber cooperation with the People's Republic of China that may have for any Pacific Island nation's autonomy, said a spokesperson. With good reason. With good reason. The Chi-Coms are putting police stations in Chicago, New York, Paris, London, and violating our sovereignty. It is time to deport these scumbags. Macron says that Russian defeat in Ukraine is vital to the security of Europe. Really? I thought that deterrence was vital to security in Europe. French President Emmanuel Macron said it's key for Europe's security to defeat Russia and Ukraine amid urgent pleas for more weapons. He was speaking in Paris, where he said the European leaders had agreed to set up a coalition to give Ukraine medium and long-range missiles and bombs. He added there was no consensus on sending Western troops, but that nothing should be excluded. Well, you want to send French troops? That's on you, buddy. We're not going. Russia orders a halt to petroleum exports. That's an odd situation. Now, why did they do that? Wow, we just went from 108 people to 88. What happened? Oh, somebody just went live. That's why. Who's live now? How did I lose those viewers? Wow. We lost 18 viewers in like 3 seconds because people left. Wow. So what program do you find more interesting than this one that you disappeared? I suppose it's too late to ask because they're gone already. It's Tuesday, so Ronaldo's not on, so it's not that. Is it Panul? What are you guys watching? What are you watching? Oh, this is yesterday's news. I still got that up. Let me get rid of that. All right, so back to the news here. Russia is stopping its oil exports. Now, why would that be? Because their oil infrastructure has been under attack by drones from Ukraine. Company amid attacks on refineries, the ban is intended to avert shortages and spiking prices on the domestic market. Russia passed a 6-month ban on petrol exports from next week amid rising local demand. The halt on petrol shipments abroad, which has been approved by Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin and is expected to start on March 1st, was confirmed by state news agency TASS on Tuesday. Similar ban was introduced last year to avert shortages and spiking prices on the domestic market. So they won't be able to make any windfalls from India. Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news here in the United States. Huge news, huge news. The rule of law is being applied. That's right, the rule of law. Can you believe it? The rule of law is being applied. It's such a rare thing, and this story is not being reported in the media. Only the Washington Times, the only place you can find it. A Delaware judge strikes down the state's early voting rules that Election Day must be just one day. A Delaware judge struck down the state's expansive early voting law, saying Election Day is a single day and allowing people to vote on other days violates the state constitution. Superior Court Judge Mark Connor said absentee voting is allowed in limited circumstances laid out in the Constitution, but the state had gone far beyond that in allowing anyone to cast a ballot up to 10 days before Election Day. By granting indefinite absentee voting to those who are unable to vote in a single election, Delaware's permanent absentee voting statute impermissibly extends beyond the limited authority granted to the General Assembly by our Constitution. He said the law was likely well-intentioned, but he had no choice but to strike down this unconstitutional law. He also struck down the state's permanent absentee balloting, saying that while the Constitution allows for someone to vote absentee in a particular election, it does not allow for someone to automatically receive absentee ballots into perpetuity. Agreed 100%. Every time I voted federal absentee ballot, I had to apply for my federal absentee ballot every single election, and that's how things should be. Yep. The state had argued that the concept of Election Day shouldn't be taken literally. Rather, it was a series of events that could take place over time, leading to the selection of a winner. This, according to Deputy Attorney General of Delaware, a state settled by Swedes and Dutch. Delaware, by a Deputy Attorney General of Delaware, Zhejiang Shen. Zhejiang Shen is saying that, oh, it's not Election Day, it's a series of events. Zhejiang Shen. As long as the last day of the chain of events was Election Day, the state said it was on solid ground. Wrong. Judge Connor said it was impossible to square with the actual words of the Constitution, which fixes elections every other year on Tuesday next after the first Monday in the month of November. Bingo. The word shall commands the general election to be held on that specific date enumerated in the text. Our Constitution provides only one such day, not any day or series of days the General Assembly sees fit. Brilliant. This is a huge victory for election integrity, a huge victory for election integrity, folks. One that the 18 people who disappeared and went to some other program have missed out on hearing about. A defiant Nikki Haley is in Michigan, hoping not to be shellacked too badly by Donald Trump today. She warns of electoral failure, that America will not have a Republican president if Donald Trump wins. I'll tell you, every time that I put the live stream on here and I'm listening to this broadcast when it starts and I play the music so that I know the timing, every time I'm getting an advert from some scumbag political action committee that is running Nikki Haley saying Donald Trump is not fit for purpose. He's a danger to America. She's a Republican. She's saying about her opponent. These are dangerous rhinos. These are, unfortunately, they're not endangered. They should be endangered. Yeah, Nikki Haley facing an expected humiliation in today's primary in Michigan has a simple answer when asked why she's still campaigning. I'm doing what I think is right. I'm doing what I believe 70% of Americans want me to do. What? 70% of Americans want you to do this? No, I don't think so, Nikki Haley. Talk about arrogance. Well, the 25th Amendment in play, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, someone has invoked the 25th Amendment. Representative Ken Buck of Colorado calls on Kamala Harris to remove Biden via the 25th Amendment. The time has come for the Vice President and the Cabinet to put our country first and move forward on invoking the 25th Amendment. Wow. He introduced a resolution to call on Vice President Kamala Harris to oust President Biden by activating the 25th Amendment amid growing concerns over his mental fitness. In the resolution was introduced to the House of Representatives yesterday. Mr. Buck cited, among other things, Special Counsel Robert Hur's report that raised concerns about Biden's mental fitness and called into question his mental acuity for the role of the president. The Hur report officially addressed what many Americans have long witnessed with their own eyes, that President Biden is no longer fit to successfully discharge the critical duties of his office. Numerous instances were articulated in the report and have played out in full public view, showing Biden's apparent cognitive decline and lack of mental stability. His resolution calls on Vice President Harris to use the powers under Section 4 of the 25th Amendment to convene the cabinet to declare President Biden incapable of executing the duties of his office and to immediately exercise powers as acting president. The time has come to remove Joe Biden from with the 25th Amendment. Wow. Well, Biden tries to turn the tables. He makes an appearance on a ridiculous leftist hate-wanking so-called comedy program, late night television. Joe Biden is out there telling people that, well, it's not me, man. My opponent's old too. Biden tries to turn the table, says he's about as old as I am. In his first election year appearance in late night television, the president joshed with Seth Meyers and poked at former President Trump's own memory lapses. Yeah. Yeah. He would jab Mr. Trump, who's 77, over a video in which he seems to call his wife Melania by the other name. You got to take a look at the other guy. He's about as old as I am, but he can't remember his wife's name. Turning more serious, Biden added that the contest is not about how old the candidates are, but it's about how old your ideas are. Look, this is a guy who wants to take us back. He wants to take us back on Roe versus Wade. No. See, he doesn't even know. Roe versus Wade has been declared unconstitutional and tossed aside by the Dobbs decision. Joe Biden doesn't even know that. The most consequential Supreme Court decision in the last 3 decades, and Joe Biden is unaware that Roe versus Wade doesn't exist. We're not going back. We are already there. He wants to take us back on a whole range of issues that are 50, 60 years. They've been solid American positions. No, they're not. The murder of Americans in the womb is not a solid American position. It is a power not under the federal government. The 10th Amendment to the Constitution prevents the federal government from making any statement about abortion in the states. The sovereign states have that authority, and that's where it resides now after we've resolved this issue with the Dobbs decision. Joe Biden doesn't know that, though. Joe Biden's brain is on vacation far away. When he speaks, it makes you wonder. Doesn't even know what he's saying. Michigan primary, Muslim Arab Americans are going to vote uncommitted because they hate Joe Biden because he won't side with terrorists. Arab American backlash over Biden's support. No, it's not Arab American. It's Arab Muslim American, because most Arabs who came to this country in the 20th century were actually Christians from Syria, Lebanon, and Jordan. Now we've been flooded by Muslims. Foreign policy is looming on the ballot Tuesday in Michigan as closely watched primary is poised to give Democrats a sense of President Biden's vulnerability to anger over his support of Israel in the war with Hamas. Once again, the Wall Street Journal lies. It's war with Hamas. It's not its war. It's Hamas's war. Stop lying, Wall Street Journal. You captured, useless gas bag publication. Arab American Democrats push for uncommitted vote in Michigan primary to send a message to Biden about Gaza. Yep. In 2020, Palestinian American activist and longtime Michigan Democrat backed Joe Biden for president. But like many Arab Americans, she feels betrayed by his response to Israel's military campaign in Gaza and the rising civilian death toll. Biden would need to curtail U.S. military aid to Israel and call for permanent ceasefire before she could even consider supporting him in November. And so Layla El Abed is going to vote uncommitted. Well, you know what? Good for you. Good for you. Well, what do you want to know about today's Michigan primaries, folks? Michigan primaries, a very likely Trump win. The portion of uncommitted Democrat voters and a dueling GOP caucuses are worth tracking in this race. Michigan is holding its Republican Democratic presidential primaries today. Election day comes after early voting, which lasted from February 17th until February 25th. Early voting is now enshrined in Michigan's Constitution thanks to Proposal 2, a ballot measure that passed in 2022. Michigan's presidential primary is an open one per the National Conference of State Legislatures. I will never, ever live in the state of Michigan. Early voting is a disgraceful scam, and they have put it in their Constitution. That's how stupid the voters in Michigan are. Well, Joe Biden says that he'll have a ceasefire by weekend. Ahead of Michigan's Tuesday primary, he tries to buy votes in Michigan of Arab American Muslims. He said fighting in Gaza would stop as early as this weekend, the most detailed timeline to date from the White House. Traveling to New York City for a campaign event, the president responded to a question from a reporter about negotiations when a pause might begin. I hope by the end of the weekend. We're close. We're close. That's what Joe Biden. Sounds like a helicopter's outside my house. But unfortunately for Joe Biden, Hamas doesn't want peace. They shoot down Biden's talk of temporary ceasefire in Gaza. Now I know what that sound is. There's someone out there chopping up trees about 400 meters from my house, and I can hear it. He floated a pause in fighting on the contentious Michigan primary, the eve of that. Top Hamas leaders are throwing cold water on Biden's assertion there's a temporary ceasefire in the works that would get Israeli hostages out of Gaza. One official, Ahmed Abdel Hadi, told the Lebanese broadcaster that the Palestinian militant group was sticking to its demand for permanent ceasefire before it releases 100 people whom they kidnapped and tortured since October. The militants are not interested. They're not militants, Washington Times. The terrorists. The terrorists are not interested in any concessions that do not lead to complete and total cessation of the aggression against our people. Well, you started the war, and you will have to deal with consequences. Yep. So Joe Biden claims he has a ceasefire coming on the weekend, and Hamas doesn't want a ceasefire. Same reason why there's never been a peace settlement in Israel, because the Palestinian Authority, the PLO, Fatah, Hamas, none of them want peace with Jews and with Israel. They want to murder and exterminate the Jews and destroy the Jewish state on land that they stole with the help of Romans from the Jews 2,000 years ago. Yep. The Odysseus Lunar Lander is on its side. Oof, it landed on its side, and it's going to be unoperational here or out of operation shortly. The Odysseus Lander is sideways on the moon, Intuitive Machines, the company that built the vehicle, said during a news conference. The revelation comes after Intuitive Machines had initially described the lander, also called Odie, as upright in an update posted on social media. But the company CEO, Steve Altemus, said data later showed that the spacecraft was likely tilted on its side after having caught one of its feet on a lunar rock. And that's what it looks like right now. It's sideways. We're thinking it came down about 6 miles an hour this way, or about 2 miles an hour, and caught foot in the surface. The lander has tipped like this. So, only one piece of Odysseus cargo is on the side of the spacecraft that's facing down toward the lunar surface, a piece of art that was sent to the moon by one of the machine's commercial customers. So, it's a punch in the stomach. This lander will die within hours because it can't get sunlight. Well, a fourth witness, despite the fake legacy media trying to tell you that Joe Biden's case about being involved in Burisma and his pay-for-play is just all going to go away. Of course, Jamie Raskin, the rascally Democrat from Maryland, is running around busy now that he's recovered from cancer, telling people that the case is over. There's no case against Joe Biden. Unfortunately, there are more witnesses in this corruption trial. Fourth witness puts Biden at the center of the son's business. Jailhouse testimony details are leaked. Jason Galandis, sentenced to more than 11 years for securities fraud, is the fourth former business associate to put President Biden in the center of Hunter Biden's enormously profitable business deals as lawmakers investigate him on charges that he helped his family carry out an influence peddling scheme. It's a tale as old as time. A government official takes action. The action benefits his family, and then when questions are asked, there's a cover-up, said Jim Jordan. Galandis told House lawmakers in a jailhouse statement obtained by the Washington Times that Mr. Biden participated in a May 4th, 2014 call with Yelena Baturina, a wealthy Russian real estate investor seeking financial foothold in the United States. Hunter Biden rang his father on speakerphone from a restaurant in Brooklyn where he met Miss Baturna and her husband, a former mayor of Moscow. I'm sorry, it's Donald Trump who has ties to Russia. It's Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama who have ties to Russia, not Donald Trump. The fact that they've been able to hoodwink people into believing this is just comical. It's so sad. Well, the race-hustling, loser, arrogant, asshat, racist, bigot U.S. women's national soccer team sucks. They suck. They lost to Mexico. Can you believe it? U.S. women's national team sees another rough day with a rare loss to Mexico. Well, when you are going woke, you stay broke, and this is the outcome of that stupidity. With the Olympics on the horizon and an opportunity to redeem itself from last summer's horrible World Cup fiasco, the U.S. women's national soccer team took a jarring step backward late Monday with a 2-0 loss to Mexico at the CONCACAF W Women's Gold Cup in Carson, California. The Americans had lost to Mexico only once before, more than 13 years ago. 42 previous times they played, they've only lost once. They had not lost at home against a team from the CONCACAF, that's North and Central America and the Caribbean, since 2000 against rival Canada, which means they broke a 78-win, 0-loss, and 2-draw streak. These race-hustling scumbag women, yep. Americans managed only one shot on goal. They were outshot 13-9 overall and earned just one corner kick. How are they only one shot on goal? Oh, I guess they shot, but they can miss the goal. U.S. is number 2 in the FIFA rankings. Mexico is number 35. They lost the 35th ranked country in the world. They had not lost to regulation time against an opponent since November of 2022. Under interim coach Twyla Kilgore, the U.S. team has secured a quarterfinal berth last week after defeating Dominican Republic. Concerns are raised about the ability to rebound after the round of 16 elimination at the World Cup in Australia and New Zealand last year. Well, go woke, go broke. That's what they get. I'm glad Mexico beat them. I used to give money to the U.S. women's national soccer team, but when they revealed themselves to be arrogant, racist bigots in the 2016 Olympics, I lost interest and no longer provide them funding. Well, Joe Biden just plans to destroy public lands the size of an entire state. They want to use public lands to install their idiotic solar photovoltaic panels on land that is larger than 36 states. Rural America is set to be transformed by a 55 million acre federal solar plan. Our public lands play a crucial role in the clean energy transition, said Laura Daniel Davis, acting Deputy Secretary of the Interior Department. She needs to be removed from office. Solar energy's appetite for vast amounts of land has prompted the Biden regime to propose designating as much as 55 million acres of public lands as potential sites for industrial-scale solar farms. That's an area larger than 36 states and similar in size to Idaho or Minnesota. An updated initiative by the Bureau of Land Management called the Western Solar Plan proposals 6 alternatives for solar development. In the most aggressive of these, 55 million acres across 11 western states will be made available for solar energy. But we can't make that land available for mineral exploitation, for timber, for gold mining, for oil prospecting. No. But we're going to put these polluting solar panels all over this federal land. States targeted for solar development include Arizona, California, Colorado, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, New Mexico, Oregon, Utah, Washington, and Wyoming. The initiative is part of a wider effort to satiate demand for land from solar companies. Well, screw solar companies. Screw them. Take care of public lands. Well, the legacy media is covering up what actually happened in the Laken Riley murder. Her alleged killer, Jose Ibarra, and his enabler, Joe Biden. The New York Post reports another day, another brutal crime committed by an illegal migrant. Another blind eye turned by legacy media. The Associated Press, which is currently being sued for links to Hamas, conveniently failed to mention in a report on the Georgia murder of nursing student Laken Riley that suspected killer Jose Antonio Ibarra crossed the border illegally. Instead, the once venerable news outlet chose to make the story about the fears of solo female athletes and cited recommendations that female runners carry pepper spray or a whistle and run during daylight hours or with a friend, sliding right up to the edge of victim blaming. Yep. NBC, meanwhile, buried the inconvenient detail of Ibarra being an illegal immigrant way down in the 37th paragraph of a Sunday story on the murder. Try to imagine clear examples of left-leaning media outlets carrying water for President Biden over his open border policy. And don't forget to brace yourself for the inevitable wave of pro-Ibarra think pieces sure to get pubbed by progressive outlets later this week. Ibarra from Venezuela entered the country illegally in September 2022 near El Paso. He was grabbed by ICE and cut loose. Immigration Customs Enforcement captured him invading our country, and they released him. He was then bused along with his wife, whom he married so they could better game the Biden asylum system, and her kid to New York City. So they paid our money to take him to New York City, where they enjoyed taxpayer largesse as he apparently worked illegally in the food delivery. In 2023, he was arrested for carrying the 5-year-old child on his scooter without a helmet. The New York Police Department let him slip too, and so quickly that ICE claims it did not have time to issue a detainer. So to be clear, Ibarra crossed our border with total impunity and then kept breaking the law with the same impunity. And now a promising young woman has been brutally murdered, and only when the tragedy has occurred is Ibarra in custody. The influx of criminal alien invaders across the southern U.S. border has been an unmitigated disaster, crushing small towns in the region and big cities around the nation. It's pumped massive wealth into the coffers of narco cartels, human traffickers, and fentanyl distributors. It takes an intimate human toll, like with sociopaths like Ibarra traversing the country looking for random victims. Laken Riley's blood is on Joe Biden's hands and the hands of DHS Chief Alejandro Mayorkas and every other politician and official nationwide who enabled the border erasure. Yep, fact. So I talked about the duck curve a short while ago, folks. This is what it is. So when too much solar photovoltaic capacity is installed, because solar doesn't happen at night, it happens when the sun is out, daytime. When too much that is installed in residential areas or in businesses and the excess generated is fed back into the grid, it leads to chaos and instability in the grid. And you get what's called the duck curve. It looks like a duck in the water. And this has been a disaster for California, and it will be the case here in Pennsylvania before you know it. California's duck curve is getting deeper. As more solar capacity come online in California, grid operators and California's independent system operator have observed a drop in net load or demand remaining after subtracting variable renewable generation in the middle of the day when solar generation tends to be highest. So you can see that in different years. In 2023, it got horrible. For 2023, they actually had too much energy. They had to turn energy off. So basically, the power generators have to power down because there's no demand during the day because it's residential solar. From basically noon until 4 p.m., there's virtually no demand for California's public utilities, the electricity generators, to generate electricity. So you get very inefficient production and you get all kinds of grid problems and fluctuations. That's the duck curve we've talked about here before. Dick Vitale jumps into the fray about Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark, of course, the amazing player from the University of Iowa, the Hawkeyes, who now set the record for most points scored by NCAA Division I female athlete in basketball. Well, Dick Vitale jumps into it. The greatest of all time debate surrounding women's hoop star Caitlin Clark has added another voice, Dick Vitale. Legendary college basketball broadcaster weighed in a conversation on Twitter Monday night. The Iowa basketball star has become a household name in sports world as she's dominated women's college basketball and rewritten the record books. But Vitale has felt her lack of a championship has been unfairly held against her. Recently, there's been debate about being the greatest of all time as related to Caitlin Clark. Look, I respect the views of others, but I do not think it's fair to eliminate someone that doesn't win a championship. Championships are won by strong, talented teams. I always felt that Wilt Chamberlain and many others didn't get a fair shake. He didn't play with a Hall of Fame roster like the Celtics, and neither has Caitlin Clark. She broke the women's basketball scoring record for most points on February 15th, and she's honing in on Pete Maravich's most career points Division I for men or women. But it hasn't quieted some of the noise about her being the greatest ever. ESPN analyst Jay Williams said that Clark isn't the greatest of all time. I hear people talking about GOATs. For me, I'm like, okay, you want to be a GOAT? Fine. There's a level of greatness. You got to win championships to be GOATs. Let's slow down. Of course, there's one very clear thing about Jay Williams. Caitlin Clark, a white woman from the Midwest, and Jay Williams, a black man. You decide for yourself why Jay Williams says that. It probably has nothing to do with her race. I'm sure it has nothing to do with that. But almost everyone who's criticized her for her incredible performance and achievement has come out and denigrated her has been someone whose skin pigmentation doesn't resemble hers. Flip the script, and we'll see how often those people are called racist. Michael Jordan's the greatest of all time in the NBA. We're talking about National Collegiate Athletic Association, Division I basketball for college. Top three solar farms in China and India. Despite this, they still burn coal like crazy. Yes, they build 350 coal-fired power plants every year in China. Hey, Fleshton's here. Yes, it's about the size of UK landmass. They want to put solar panels all over it. These people are lunatics. Certain areas in Durban are having issues. People are pushing so much back into the grid that the voltage is too high for the cheaper units to accept the incoming supply. Yeah, not surprised. Not surprised. The scam that hooked me up for power is, it's not going to work forever. What will eventually happen here, probably for me, is that when the utility down the road gets too much power coming in during the daytime and demand drops in that duck curve and they refuse to buy the electricity, what I will do at that point, if that happens, if I'm still living here in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, then I will put battery storage and I'll store that excess energy and screw them. Yep. Yeah, there you go. So there's no empty land USA for solar. There's no reason to put solar panels on 55 million acres. Those panels will stop working. They'll be thrown in landfills. Can you imagine a landfill with all those panels? And of course, most of those panels are made in China. Why would we do that to enrich Chinese who with their rapacious mining, destroy the natural environment all over the world? All over the world. No, it's just dumb. Mexico, pretty good team, though, in fairness. Not really, Charles. They're 35th. They're 35th. That's not good. U.S. men's rugby team is only 16th in the world, and they're not very good. Does Biden have a monthly diaper service? I have no idea. Fetus equals young child in Latin. Major gen is also Latin. So I have no idea what you're talking about there, Active Faith. Welcome, Active Faith. Good to see you there. I think you're saying a fetus equals young child in Latin. I don't speak Latin. I know Silva, which means forest. Major gen is also in Latin, so don't be shy using Latin when it comes to MAGA. Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Active Faith. Welcome to the program. Right. Trump doesn't shake hands with Ghost and wearing adult diapers. Colbert and Kimmel also captured. Oh, of course they are. The entire late night thing. Saturday Night Live. Did you see the Italian video? The Italian video they do with Joe Biden coming out for a press conference. Buonasera, Mr. President. It's just so funny. I won't show it because I'm sure it'll be a copyright claim or strike on the channel. I don't want to do that. We're moving along pretty good without a harassment and copyright lately. But you got to watch it. It's all over. It's on Twitter. The Italian television made this spoof. If Saturday Night Live wasn't captured, they would have done this, but they're captured. It's so funny. So funny. Right there. Yeah, well, here's Joe Biden earlier today talking about the ceasefire. Now, this is funny. I took a screen capture of this. I'm going to show you this very quickly. This one I can find. I couldn't find that ad I was looking for earlier, but this one I'm going to find. Downloads. Come on, here we go. Downloads. Come on. There it is. Here you go. This is Joe Biden earlier. This is too funny, folks. Transform that, stretch the screen. There you go. My hope is by next Monday, we'll have a ceasefire. He's eating ice cream with Emmanuel Macron. Is that Macron? It looks like Macron. I don't think that's Macron. But Joe Biden is eating ice cream. Mr. President, is it chocolate chip? No, it's pistachio vanilla, man. What are you talking about? Joe Biden. Oh, I found it. So now with 97 people here, folks, let's take just a brief moment. I found what I was looking for. Oh, no, it's not there. It's not there. My bad. It's not there. Okay, so first hologram to eat ice cream. That's funny. So really no younger presidents can since Biden and Trump. Well, sure, scientists. Vivek Ramaswamy, Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Bobby Kennedy Jr. The list is endless. Lots of them. Yep. I've never experienced the rule of law, says Slippery Pickle. And Christine is still here. Okay, glad you're still here, Christine. Yep. All right. Macron is a banker. What does he know about war? Yeah, Sweden has joined NATO 2 weeks ago. They officially entered now, so they're now part of NATO. By the way, I got a map of the current NATO members, and for those of you who poo-poo Vladimir Putin, worried about, encroachment on his borders by NATO, let's just take a look at the NATO boundaries now. Look at that. So that's the current boundaries of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, Turkey, Italy, Hungary, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Denmark are not in the Atlantic, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Only Norway, UK, France, Portugal, and Spain have Atlantic boundaries. Wow. So there you go. So Vladimir Putin says that, NATO is encroaching on him. Well, they added Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. Estonia and Latvia being the two most direct on his border. Now Finland is in there. You could wonder why the guy is a little paranoid. So, yep. How are we going to survive when we abolish CO2? Well, Ken, I don't know, because carbon dioxide is necessary for plants and trees in particular in order to produce oxygen for us. Gabrielle says, saw that video. Very funny. Yeah, that is a funny. Declan, come to Cape Town. What did Declan say? Somehow I use 4 kilowatts a day with nothing. I use 17 on average per day, which is pretty low for a house my size. What's not funny? It's scary. Kelly Slater is the greatest of all time, says Garrett. Okay. All right. Not sure about that. Anyway, 99 people here currently here, folks. I hope you're enjoying the news broadcast. So thanks for tuning in. So we've got a situation here in America where today is the Michigan primary. If I'm feeling well, I'm starting to feel a little bit better by doing the news here. I mean, maybe the ibuprofen kicked in, and maybe the shingles jab number 2 is wearing off quicker than I thought. So I'm feeling a little bit better than I did earlier when I started this program. So thank you all for that. But it's not a sunny day. I'm only getting 1.5 kilowatt hours of 8 potential right now. Must be shadows out there. So it's going to be a crappy day unless those clouds go away. Yep. Anyway. So. No draw from ESCOM. What is that? Oh, ESCOM didn't use any of your power. Gotcha. The only guy that don't brain phase eating ice cream. Yeah, exactly. Joe Biden doesn't get brain freeze. In fact, I got brain freeze yesterday. I was not eating ice cream, but I was drinking. What was I drinking? One of these cold drinks from McDonald's, a raspberry, I forget what it's called. It was really good, but it was cold. I drank it, brain freeze straight to the brain, man. Went too fast. But I was choking on a hamburger, so I had to get something down my gullet there. Anyway, there you have it, folks. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And hopefully, talking about the ice cream, says Ken. Gotcha. Yeah. No, the ice cream thing. Gotcha, Ken. Okay, only something like a pump storage system deals with the duct curve issues. No, batteries can deal with the duct curve issue too. You charge the batteries when you have excess during the day. Pump storage definitely is one way to do it, but it's not a very efficient way to do it. That's true. Another way to do it is simply not overproduce solar. Don't overproduce solar. Don't use solar as the means for a lot of stuff. Wayne Rainey was the best. I don't know who that is. A couple of hours, Roy says. Scientist enjoys McDonald's. Oh, sorry, I just got an important message here. So, yeah. Only guy that didn't eat brain. Yeah, so anyway, sorry, I got distracted there, folks. Anyway, no one commented about my shirt. Eendracht. No one said anything about that. Pub and grill. No one said anything about that. And the sleeve over here. I didn't hear anything from anybody. Wow, I'm surprised. For those who may remember, this shirt came from Devin Hofmeyer when I went to Steve's restaurant. Yep. Great stream again. All right. Hope the jab works. So do I. I don't want shingles. It was pretty ugly. Ugh. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. Thanks for being here. Don't forget, we got stuff going on tomorrow. We've got the news Wednesdays with the Colonel. And then we've got, after that, we've got Kanako. Then I got my radio program tomorrow night. Busy day tomorrow. See you tonight. Okay, Billy, see me tonight where? Dude, you got to send me something. I'm lost, Billy. Did I miss something here? Please send me a message. I don't see any message from, well, hang on. Billy might have sent me something here. Hang on. No, you got to send me a message, Billy, because I don't know what you're talking about. See me tonight. All right. Lelu likes the shirt. Okay, cool. All right. Okay. I mean, using solar all day, but my meter still says I use 4 kilo. Ah, gotcha, Declan. Yeah. Well, sometimes the monitoring isn't particularly good. I had a problem with my software yesterday. It was stuck at 21 hours for like 2 hours, and finally it updated. Let's leave this interesting chat. Must join the locals for Lekker Bry. Okay, enjoy the Bry. We're all out of here anyway, so that's going to be 101 likes. Thanks for being here, folks. No new members, no super chats. Thank you all for being here. Have a lovely day. Appreciate your support for the channel. And be safe out there, wherever you find yourself. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.